Good morning, children. Welcome back to your computer class. So in the last class, in the PPT that was sent to you, we had started with the lesson, Know the Keyboard. Of course, all of us are familiar with the keyboard. We have used the keys on the keyboard to type in WordPad. We have also learned about the keyboard when we learned about the parts of a computer. But since we are going to use keyboard to do all our typing work, it is important that we understand the use of the keyboard, the keys that are there on the keyboard, and the use of those keys which are there on the keyboard. So to understand more about the keyboard, let us revise the keys that we learned in the last class, and let us also understand about some more keys. You are very familiar with these 5 keys. You have done an activity where you identified the keys here, and further in the last PPT you have gone through the use of these 5 keys. So we first have the keys on which there are letters, which are the alphabet keys that are used for typing the letters. Then we have the number keys that are used to type digits, numbers. We then have the arrow keys that are used to move the cursor up, down, right or left. The longest key is called as the space bar, which is used to give spaces between words. And finally, we have the enter key that is used to move to the next line. Apart from these keys, there are many other keys on the keyboard. We will be going through some more keys which are important to us for typing in WordPad. When we started to do our typing in WordPad, we have often used the caps lock key. So I hope all of you understand what is the use of the caps lock key. When we want the letters to be in capital letters, then we use the caps lock key. We can press it once, and then when we type the letter, that will come in capital letters. If you want to come back to small letters, then you will press the caps lock key once again, so that whatever you are typing after that will be in small letters. So this is the caps lock key. Next we have the backspace key. You can notice it is on the same line where there are numbers. So you have it, the name is also mentioned there, that is backspace. Now the location and the symbol or the text that is mentioned on the key will vary depending on the keyboard. But basically we should know that the backspace key is used to erase letters that are typed on the left side of the cursor. So we have typed a word and there is some spelling mistake in the word, or you want to make some change in that, so you can use the backspace key so that it will erase all the letters which are to the left side of the cursor. Next we have the delete key. Again, the purpose of the delete key is also to erase. But the delete key is used to erase letters that are typed on the right side of the cursor. So whichever position your cursor is in, when we press the delete key, the letters that are to the right of the cursor will get deleted. So we need to understand the use of these three keys also. So let's again revise the use of these three keys that are there on the keyboard. The caps lock key is used to type letters in capital letters. The caps lock key needs to be pressed again to return back to small letters. Please repeat after me. The caps lock key is used to type letters in capital letters. The caps lock key needs to be pressed again to return back to small letters. Next we have the backspace key. The backspace key is used to erase letters typed on the left side of the cursor. Repeat, the backspace key is used to erase letters typed on the left side of the cursor. We then have the delete key. The delete key is used to erase letters typed on the right side of the cursor. Repeat, the delete key is used to erase letters typed on the right side of the cursor. I hope all of you have understood the use of these three keys that are there on the keyboard. Now that we have identified so many keys on the keyboard, let us do this fun activity that is there on page number 31 of your book. If you have your book, you can write the answers in your book, and if you do not have your textbook, then you can write it in your notebook. So here we have to write the first letter of each picture to get the names of the keys. So in the first picture we have an elephant. So the first letter E is already mentioned there. In the similar manner, let's identify the first letter of each of the pictures. So in the second picture we have a nest. So that is N. First letter is N. We then have a tiger. So the first letter there is T. And we have another elephant there. So we again have E. And then we have the rabbit there. So we have an R. So now let's spell it together. E-N-T-E-R. And that is the enter key. Now let's go to the second question. So the first picture is a deer. So we have a D. Next we have an elephant. So we have a E. We then have a lemon. So the first letter there is L. Next we have an elephant. So the first letter there is E. The next picture is of a table. So the first letter there is T. And finally we have another picture of an elephant, and so the first letter there is E. Let's read it together. D-E-L-E-T-E. That is the delete key. Next we have, for the third question, an apple. So the first letter is A. We then have two rabbits. So in both cases the first letter will be R. So one more R. We then have an owl. So the first letter is O. And finally we have a watch, a wristwatch. So the first letter is W. Let's read it together. ARROW, which are the arrow keys. The fourth question, the first picture is of a nest. So we have N, which has already been given to you there. We then have an umbrella. So the first letter is U. Next we have the monkey. So the first letter is M. We then have a bag. So the first letter is B. Next we have an elephant. So the first letter is E. And finally we have an rabbit. So the first letter is R. Now let's read it together. NUMBER, number keys. I hope you enjoyed this activity. So children, we are now familiar with some of the important keys that are there on the keyboard. When we type in WordPad, there are certain other keys also that we often require. For example, if you need to end a sentence, we need to put a full stop. If we want to pause between the sentence, we put a comma. Similarly, when we are highlighting something, we use a dash. So let us see how to use these keys when we are going to type our activity for today. So today's activity is a poem. You are going to use WordPad and type it. The poem is on a happy child. So you will use the appropriate keys on the keyboard and type this poem in WordPad. Click on the button to understand how to proceed with the activity. With that, we end today's class. Thank you, children, and have a good day.